He had spent his whole life in silence, working in the shadows, believing he was doing God's work. Every mission, every order, every sin, he carried them out without a second thought. He never questioned anything, because the man who gave him those orders was the only person he ever trusted, the priest he called Father. But one day, everything changed. A massive explosion shook the city. Smoke filled the sky. People screamed and ran in every direction. And in the middle of the broken street stood a small boy, alone, covered in dust, staring into nothing. He wasn't crying. He wasn't calling anyone. He was simply standing there, as if the world had forgotten him. For reasons he couldn't explain, the man picked him up and carried him home. Maybe it was instinct, maybe it was destiny, or maybe it was the first time his heart reacted before his mind could stop it. The boy said nothing at first. He just followed him quietly around the house, watching him with wide, innocent eyes. But slowly, without even trying, the boy began to change everything. He cleaned the place. He tried to cook. He arranged things the man never cared for. He laughed at small things. He asked questions, endless, honest questions. And for the first time in his life, the man felt something warm in the cold rooms he lived in. One day the boy asked him, "Are you a soldier?" He didn't know how to answer that. He had never thought of himself that way. But he nodded slightly. The boy smiled and said, "Then you're a hero." A word he had never been called in his life. And that one word shook him more than any bullet ever could. But the man he trusted, the priest, began to notice the change. He warned him that the boy was a distraction, a weakness. He reminded him of his holy purpose, the missions, the loyalty, the obedience. Yet something inside the man had already begun to question everything. The truth hit him hardest the day he found the boy holding his secret bag, the one filled with the tools of his real work. The boy only whispered, "I'm sorry. I was just cleaning." For a moment, the man felt anger rise inside him, then he saw the boy's trembling hands and understood that this child had no idea what he had found. His anger collapsed into guilt, and he gently took the bag away. That was the first time he apologized to anyone. That night, he returned to the priest for answers. But instead of truth, he found manipulation. Instead of guidance, he found control. And instead of God's will, he found a man who had used him for years, shaping him into a weapon, not a warrior. He walked home with the weight of all his sins suddenly real, suddenly heavy. Every mission replayed in his mind. Every life he had taken. Every lie he had believed. He felt lost, hollow, broken. And then, the boy appeared at the door. Without asking a single question, the child wiped the tears from his face and held his hand tightly, as if the man was the one who needed saving. "You're a good man," the boy said softly. "I know it." No one had ever told him that before. In that moment, he realized something powerful. He couldn't change his past. But for the first time, he could choose his future. And this time, he wouldn't choose it for the priest. Or for the missions. Or for fear. He would choose it for the one innocent life that still believed in him. And that was the beginning of his redemption.